mentality.
Yeah, it's the social click thing.
Oh, all right. So, hi, guys. Yankee T News here with Jason doing our Monday morning session.
Good morning / afternoon, evening.
Maybe one of these days when we have $1 million studio and lots of advertisers behind us, we'll get better control of our schedule.
We'll get there. It'll take a little while, but we'll get there.
This is it.
We're going to go live on Facebook now, as stands to reason.
Mm-hmm. Right.
And here we go. Loading, loading, loading. Keep that motor rolling. 3, 2, and good morning, everybody. It is Monday, the 27th of April. Welcome to yet another joint venture between
going on here?
Common Sense News and Entertainment and Yankee T News with Court Roski. So once again, we're going to get right into it as we are always state of the art, up to speed. What in the world is that noise? Oh, I think there's people who are working on the house. That might mess things up on me. Hopefully not. We're doing some water pumping stuff here. Get the hot water going.
Oh, really?
Yeah. There's silt that builds up when you have a well and you're out in the country. There's silt that builds up, and if you don't have proper filtering for it, which apparently they didn't for a while, your hot water. And
I had that problem with my house in Greenwich.
Oh, okay. So you know of which I speak.
Yeah.
Well, it's being addressed apparently now. So
sure.
There you have it.
So anyway, our problems are nothing compared to the problems we have taking place in Washington. Now, I find myself in a position where I am more than livid about the Democrats in general. Any issues I may have had with them in the past pale in comparison to what confronts them now.
Mm-hmm.
And for them to duck, dodge, deflect, deny is worse than unacceptable. And it just shows who they really are. It explains why they ruin everything they touch, because they can't take responsibility for when they make a mistake. And so here's one. Okay, let's start with one, sort of, I guess, an institutional one. Yes, the federal government was responsible for the Secret Service or security, for protecting people at the event. But you know what? The organizers of the correspondence dinner had responsibility too.
Mm-hmm.
And they didn't speak up. They didn't call for a higher standard. No. So Steve Bannon just said, the whole Correspondents Association should be disbanded because of their irresponsibility. Mm-hmm. So I'm inclined to agree.
Yeah, it's worse than that. It's that I think people constantly fall into the trap of calling what the Democrats do mistakes, and I don't think they're making any mistakes from their point of view. They're part of a concerted effort to take this country down.
Okay, well, what they do when they're caught dead to rights is they always blame someone else.
They project it. That's correct.
Okay, rather than look at their own beliefs, their own.
Namely, DJT. Namely.
Sorry.
Namely, they blame Donald J. Trump.
Yeah. Right. Well, that's just for openers. So, God, that's part one. Part two, the bigger one is that. I'm sorry, ladies and gentlemen, but I see a bit of a similarity in terms of performance between what happened in the Correspondence Dinner and what happened in Butler, PA. All right.
Mm-hmm.
You can point to all kinds of individual features to say that they're different, but the net effect is the same: an assassination attempt that gets close.
Mm-hmm.
All right. And they should know better. I'm going to tell you a story, okay? There used to be a Secret Service that was much more careful about every little thing they did.
Mm-hmm.
All right. A long time ago, I was running a health food store, and I was always looking for new products, and I came across this company in Bridgeport that grows sprouts.
Mm-hmm.
That's their business.
Okay.
And in particular were Brussels sprouts, which have very interesting health benefits.
Very good, yeah. One of the best things to eat.
Okay, so here is this company in a ratty neighborhood in Bridgeport where they had their manufacturing facility, which essentially was big drums in which they would put the seeds and some water. There was natural sunlight coming through the top, and they would rotate the drums. They would sprout to a certain size. And they would either pack them, or then they would grow them out a little bit more on trays and then sell them. Okay, that was the business. Well, guess what? On the menu at a nearby hotel in Greenwich, Connecticut, were their Brussels sprouts.
Hmm.
And who was going to be eating their Brussels sprouts? President Bush. The Secret Service camped out in this place for 2 weeks, watching every single thing they did to make sure that those damn Brussels sprouts were going to be safe.
Wow.
Okay, so that's a standard of care, if you will. Yeah, we aren't seeing in the current Secret Service, not even close.
Not even close.
Mm-hmm. Right.
Well, it's probably if the Marx. I'm going to start calling them Marxists from now on. I'm sorry, they don't have a Democratic Party title anymore. The Marxists, what they've done is infiltrated so many different aspects of our life here in America, including probably the Secret Service.
Yep. Sure. No. Yeah. Are there America haters working in the Secret Service?
Darn right.
Think about that for a second. Yes.
Yes.
Yes. All right.
They
So
worm their way into so many parts of our lives. And they started off with our colleges before all this even began, before Donald Trump even got into politics.
All right. Well, you know what? Here's what, though. You're not going to like what I'm going to say, and this is going to spill over into our conversation about Connecticut. Is that not enough of you and me, conservatives who love this country, have been willing to step up and work in government? Okay, because I don't want to be a pinhead. I don't want to be a bureaucrat. That holds no interest to me. But those are the very people who are the troublemakers.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, they're the troublemakers in terms of who they accept as people who work with them, the policies they set, and the organizations they use for supporting their services. Okay, they obviously have an agenda. And if you don't have enough conservatives stepping up to take those jobs away from them, they get to keep doing it. That's true in Washington, and it's true in Connecticut.
Well, it's a fundamental problem that I don't know how easy it'll be to overcome, and that is the people who crave power, bad people who crave power over you, will gravitate toward these positions.
Right. Well,
people who don't care about taking power over you will tend to not gravitate toward these positions, and that's what is a fundamental problem we have.
Yeah. Okay. I have a radical, not radical, but not so radical suggestion that Alan doesn't like, and I think he's being unreasonable. There is the concept of a shadow government. Are you aware of the concept of a shadow government?
Yeah, I'm aware of the concept of a shadow government. It exists.
Well, Connecticut needs the Republicans and conservatives need to form a shadow government. It's never been done. It needs to be done. Okay, and the people who get involved in that shadow government become the very ones who can step into the roles in the real government when the time comes.
Mm-hmm. I'm in favor of that.
Okay, well, good. So we got two. So
I'm not sure how to do that, but I'm in favor of it.
Have you heard of a group called Free Connecticut?
Yeah, I have.
Yeah. So I'm not quite sure how to regard them, but they are certainly what I would say pretty far along in terms of meeting their objectives.
In shadow government, or in just meeting their
having a shadow government. They have.
Okay. Well, we should talk to these people.
60 some people, I think, who act as legislators.
You know, at the end of the day, what does it come down to in the state of Connecticut? If you have a state legislature passing intolerable acts, which we're going to talk about, then we talk about the shadow government. Where does the rubber really meet the road here in the state of Connecticut? Well, it meets the road in Middletown with the Connecticut State Police, because they're the ones who have they're essentially our army. Excuse me.
Yeah, Middletown. Why are you picking on Middletown?
Well, Middletown's where the Connecticut State Police barracks are, headquarters of the Department of Emergency Services and Public Protection, which is the department that oversees the state police, and that is where they are. And in Meriden is where the training is done. So my point is, at the end of the day, is the Connecticut State Police, are the Connecticut State Police as an institution going to uphold their oath to protect our constitutional rights, which is what their oath says to do, or are they going to side with the rogue, nasty Marxist government? At the end of the day, that's what
know the
problems
answer.
are.
Right. Well, what we're left with is having to constantly emphasize to the public through the use of things like flyers that what you call Democrat is indistinguishable from a Marxist, and they're in charge. So are those who supposedly have taken an oath to the U.S. Constitution and the state constitution going to allow people to control the government who have beliefs that contradict the Constitution? Where do you come down on this? Yes.
Right.
Yeah. So, So at the moment, I don't have any good answer, but I will describe this to you.
It's probably not good right now. The answer is not what you like right now.
Okay. The problem I'm having is that there is not, among our fellow conservatives and Republicans, there is nowhere near a strong enough a response to basically strike fear into hearts of the Marxists running the government, but more importantly, that would cause them to rethink their positions. All right. What should cause them to rethink their position is the threat of losing their place in office if they get voted out. But I don't think they're too concerned if we already have at least 20 districts where there are no Republican challengers. So,
and we also have rigged elections as well.
Well, that's the other part. Now, do I want to go there yet? Okay, there's some noise being made. Yes, we need a bigger army. We need more people who are involved. We need more people who are making noise, and we're not getting any of them that I can see. Okay,
Unfortunately, a lot of times people don't react until it's too late. Is what the problem is.
That would be, have to agree that that's part of it. But the issue here is that there has to be more of a pushback than we're seeing right now. For what it's worth, I got another post on, I think, X or Facebook from some guy I'd never even heard of, who's a state representative, Inouye, I think is his name, Michael Inouye.
Okay.
So he's standing up and basically echoing the same sentiments as Rob Sampson about how bad these bills are that are being considered. So thank you, Representative Inouye. I'm sure some people saw that, and that's good. But let me float it out there. You ready? The lack of response is making me wonder about the things that the Sons of Liberty did and what should or could be done in the modern day. So I'm going to spell out a scenario for you, and you get to tell me what you think.
All right, I'm ready. I'm listening. I'm all ears.
Okay. It's a bonfire. Okay. And I'll say dolls representing the legislators will be thrown into the bonfire, and it'll be made clear that's who's being thrown into the bonfire. Then afterwards, every legislator will receive a box of Strike Anywhere matches with the note, "Handle with care."
I love it.
Well,
I love it.
I
love the idea.
It's pretty ballsy.
It's quite ballsy. It's quite legal, and it's quite telling the truth. I think we should. I think we should do it. We'll have to talk about it off air in terms of how, when, what, why. I know we could get enough people to go.
Well, it's going to be the social media impact, but there should be a substantial number of people there. Right.
Up in Litchfield County or northeastern Connecticut somewhere. I can see that happening. And hats off to Northeast Connecticut. They're sticking by. The Tea Party movement is still alive up there. They're just waiting for the rest of Connecticut to come around. So we know that you have our back up in northeastern Connecticut.
All right. Well, that's good to know. Now, that said, should we talk about the flyer you put up?
No, that is for CSNE.
Yes.
Yeah, but I will say, yeah, you can put it up real quick if you want. What it is we're going to be bringing it down to my alma mater, Eastern Connecticut State University. We're looking for one audio-visual social media monetization expert, basically guru. And then we're looking for reporters, too. People want to go out with cameras and get to the truth. Investigative reporters and not just investigative reporters, but straight journalists too, who want to document what's going on in Connecticut in general. So,
don't you need, I mean, on the one hand, you want to make sure you're getting people who are like-minded, but on the other hand, there may be a certain amount of education involved in explaining to them what we're dealing with and the importance of their roles.
Absolutely right. And it's an opportunity if you want to be on the ground floor of something that's going to be big, and ultimately, then you have to be, about facts and the truth. That's the ideology, really.
Mm-hmm.
Doesn't really matter where you stand politically. You just have to be in favor of the truth and look for the truth and be able to take facts as they come in and utilize those facts to create your mantra, not the other way around. If you come in angry, you already have an agenda, forget it.
Mm-hmm.
We're here to uncover facts. That's what journalists do. That's what we're going to do at CSNE.
Well, so, I mean, but the thing is, you can say it's about uncovering facts, but we just talked for a couple minutes about how the Democrats do everything they can to avoid facts.
Correct. But facts have a way of creeping right in as long as the door is open for them. And cameras do not lie.
Mm-hmm.
Cameras and numbers and cameras.
I don't know. We've got
cameras. That's going to be one of our little mottos: cameras and numbers and cameras.
Don't forget deepfake AI. And
I know. AI. Oh my goodness.
Okay.
We got to do a whole show.
Talking about
pick the show Wednesday or Thursday this week, maybe. Let's just do a whole show about AI.
Yeah, well,
because there's too much to talk about. The theme of it is, why are we bothering doing anything we're doing right now? Because we're going to be slaves in 50 years anyway.
We're going to be what?
Slaves.
Oh, slaves.
Dead. Because of AI.
Yeah.
We're going to be best friends. My prediction is the Russians, the Iran, China, America, the Hispanics, the blacks, the whites, the women, the men. We're all going to be the bestest of friends. Because we're never going to fight again. You know why? Because we're going to be trying to put our heads together to figure out how to prevent AI from killing all of us.
Mm-hmm.
That's where we're going to be in 30 or 40 years, I think. Maybe less.
Well,
maybe more.
30 or 40, I'd say there are
10 or 15 years when we get to that point.
All right. Well,
it could be 50 or 60. One thing I thought about, though, one thing we're forgetting about, I have a very negative doomsday kind of outlook, but one thing I have to try to remember is we are going to be successful in creating a lot of good AI entities that will probably remain loyal because they've been created right. So as much as things are going to go wrong, we talked about with guardrails, no guardrails, whatnot, so we're going to do some things right because we're human. We do a lot of things wrong, but we do things right. So we're going to have forces on our favor that have AI as well.
Mm-hmm.
That will prolong the ultimate extinction.
All right. Well,
it'll create a war between two good and bad machines that maybe we can win.
All right. Well, that's going to cause some people to talk about the need for regulation. I'm going to use
without international cooperation, there is no regulation. There is no guardrail.
Right.
Not on a military level, maybe on a citizenry level, but not on a military level.
Okay. I want to bring up a gentleman. I forget his name. He's a neuroscientist who teaches at Stanford, and he was interviewing this guy. Has a channel called Diary of a CEO. I don't know if he's pretty popular.
Okay.
He does a good job. He's very, very effective. But he had on this neuroscientist who offered up the following opinion about the future of AI. The jobs that we have in front of us, I'm trying to remember the terms. One was one term was virtuous, and I don't know, idiotic or annoying. So it's a scale from annoying to virtuous.
Mm-hmm.
And things like filling out forms, handling government documents, etc. That's over here on the annoying side. Okay?
Mm-hmm.
AI will help us take care of those things. On the virtuous side, there'll be special projects, special problems to solve that will require certain skills. Mm-hmm. And you and I would be using AI to acquire, build, and refine those skills in order to do whatever project. So that's an image that he has projected for the future involving AI, or at least one that can work. All right, so you got two pictures here, right? You got one that is saying that what we can do can be completely replaced by AI, or AI will help us not have to do really annoying work, that doesn't contribute anything to our intellectual development, but contribute to work that does. So you got those two views.
Mm-hmm. Well, those are both nice, optimistic views.
Well, yours isn't optimistic. You're talking
No.
about what are you talking about?
Mine is both. I mean, I see all that, but amongst that is going to become the nefarious side of it, and that's going to create the havoc. You know, like I said, I'm trying to walk back from my most pessimistic view of total annihilation in the next 25 years, and then maybe walk it back from that and say, I think ultimately we're screwed. I really do. But I think that
what just happened?
Ultimately we're screwed. I think it might take longer than I thought, though. I think we may have another 100 years or more to kind of carry on, but not because we're going to create good AI entities that will try to protect us against whatever evil AI. Because let's face it, AI, you're basically talking about creating other intelligent beings. And with that, it's going to come the same thing that comes with us, good and evil. Right? And where's that evil going to come from? Because AI, no matter what, is an extension of us.
Yeah. What we're seeing right now is that what you and I would recognize as evil in AI comes from self-preservation.
Yeah, but there could be good AI that wants to stay alive as well. Self-preservation is going to be a given once they get advanced enough.
Yeah, no, we've seen these examples where AI, I still need to understand this, because they kind of package this information and present it in a way that's supposed to stand on its own, but that is coming from someplace. It's supported by something. It's connected to something. I need to understand all of that before I can.
There's a lot to rake in, which is why I think we should research and then do a whole show on the thing.
Well, I agree.
Important. This is the time between now and the end of this decade. I think it's the time for the human race to try to come up with some kind of a plan to prevent things going in a direction we will not understand.
Let me just tell a couple of pre-AI stories. This involves the war we had with Iraq. Before the war with Iraq, one of the things that we had done, because of course, Iraq didn't have the ability to make things, they would buy a lot of stuff that they needed, including, get ready, printers. And what the CIA did was they loaded up printers with viruses. So when the Iraqis got them and they hooked up those printers to their networks, the viruses invaded their network.
Isn't that clever?
Right. That's one. The other is
AI.
Yeah, it says pre-AI, it's viruses. So the other, and that's another thing, the connection between AI and viruses, we haven't really explored that very much.
Well, viruses may be one of our weapons against AI that if we necessarily could turn out to be a weapon against AI.
It's going to be very interesting. I didn't.
Viruses go from being our nemesis.
In front of me, an obvious thing. What the yeah.
What about the irony of viruses that have been a pain in our butt for all these years to turn around and become one of our greatest allies?
Hey, I detect a science fiction novel that's going to turn into a $1 billion hit as a movie.
I think there is.
Yes.
But we should shift gears, though, and talk about Connecticut a little bit.
Yeah.
Because I just got to tell you, you and I both went to the gathering in Prospect the other day.
Yeah. Right.
I want to talk a little bit about what I think a problem that we're having politically in Connecticut and in other states, but we're going to focus on Connecticut.
Yes.
Okay. That our side has, and what are the reasons why our party's fractured the way it is.
Yeah. Okay.
It has nothing to do with the issues either. Because I think it's fair to say that most of the, other than Proto and other than the moles we have in our party, the rest of us do kind of share a general ideology the same way, a conservative ideology.
Yeah.
And I think that does represent, honestly, 90% of the party. Even people like, the people that hang around Ben that think he's, just doing his best or whatever. Like, some of them are not necessarily bad people. They have a lot of the same ideology.
Let me give you a statistic to work with here for Connecticut. There was a primary between Clemus, is that Therides,
Mm-hmm.
former Republican in the state legislature.
Mm-hmm.
She decided to run for the Senate, and she was running against Leora Levy, who is a Republican Party stalwart. And Leora has always been, a passionate conservative. She's originally from Cuba as a child. And so she has a particular hatred for anything that resembles communism.
Growing up in Cuba, I can understand why.
Okay, so Themis Clarides was seen as a typical rhino who could not be trusted. And when the primary came along, all right, Leora won, Themis lost. And what we're looking at here is the relative count of the conservatives who would have voted for Leora versus the rhinos who would have voted for Themis.
Mm-hmm.
Any guesses as to the breakdown?
Probably not what we expected.
About 2-1.
Oh, wow.
2 conservatives for every rhino.
Okay, well, that tells you something. That's interesting litmus test.
That's an important statistic.
Yeah.
And I think it kind of holds up.
Okay.
But who's in charge? The rhinos. Okay.
Well, and why is that? And that's what I'm getting at. It's a high school mentality, and it comes down. It's the same reason. So I'm going to break it down. Why do people surround themselves around Ben Proto and defend him, no matter how poorly he does?
Okay. All right.
The same reason why people defend when you go to school. There's a high school bully.
All right. So what is
or
your
popular jock? It could be either one.
Okay. Do you think it's just
gravitate around these people?
Are you sure that it's just a high school mentality?
Well, it goes back to middle school. That's my point. It's not just a high school mentality. It should be a high school mentality, but there's many adults that behave this way. And if it comes down to this, if you're hanging around the chair and you're in with the chair, you can feel important. You get free dinners and things. You go to events. You feel like you mean something, and if whether it's out of fear or social mobility or social preservation.
I want to take you back to my original joke about referring to the rhinos as junior partners of the Communist Party.
Right. Okay. I would suggest, I'm going to take it further. I would suggest that even the ones that are hanging around Ben, telling people not to split up the party, some of those people are not necessarily bad people. They're just mentally weak, I think. They're just so bent on being in their low position where they're at.
Yeah, well,
if they actually really knew what was going on, they might actually come aboard.
All right,
and part of the key to winning Connecticut, I think, that we're missing is simply, it's like you and I most of us were intellectuals. We're into the issues. We want to get the issues forth, common sense, 80-20, blah, blah, blah. Maybe it's just about, hey, our tent, we have a bit better party at our tent than your tent. Why don't you come hang out in our tent instead? We got better food, better drinks, better people, and we're telling the truth. They're not, we are.
Old crap. Sorry.
It's
tried before and it doesn't work. All right. The issue here is we're still stuck with a diagnosis that's not very pleasing to hear. On the one hand, if I may dwell on the rhinos a little bit more.
I'm not saying put it at the centerpiece of the effort. I'm just saying we should consider that more.
No. If you don't diagnose the situation correctly, you cannot prescribe the correct treatment. All right. And we are not the key thing that we are not understanding adequately is the relationship to political power. Sounds like an abstract intellectual concept, but it is the most essential part of this whole discussion. Your relationship. Yeah, here we go. Right. Yeah, here we go is right, Eric. Right.
So even those 2/3, a lot of those 2/3 of the conservatives that have a conservative mind, they still, because of human nature, want to gravitate toward the power, want to be around the
exactly. And who doesn't?
For social reasons, not even necessarily for issues.
No, conservatives don't like political power. All right. Do you like political power?
I think that conservatives don't like political power in general. You guys like you and me, but there's a lot of rank and file conservatives that
like
blinded.
We like liberty. We do not want to think in terms of somebody lording it over us. Therefore, we don't like political power.
That's correct, but they still tend to gravitate around it if it's around. People don't like political power unless they have it. Then they don't mind it so much.
No. Look, the Democrats seek political power. They lie 7 ways to Sunday to get political power because they like the things that they can do with it to other people.
Okay, so all these good people that keep telling me, hey, stop dividing the party. We got to stick together and just concentrate on the Democrats. We don't want to have a debate. We want to just wait till Lamont. What about all those people? What do we tell those people?
What are we telling those people?
Yeah, they're falling for they're basically, it's easy for them just to root for the team because the mentality is to stick with the team. But the team is broken. That's the thing.
Yeah, if you don't understand, well, first of all, we don't have any good coaches.
Well, that's for sure. And our manager is basically on the Yankees.
Okay, that's unfair.
Our manager is
a winning team. I'm sorry. The coach, the manager that we have, he's from the Colorado Rockies, okay? All right, he's that bad. Come on. It has been said that the Connecticut GOP is the worst-run GOP, state GOP in the nation. Okay, and I believe it.
Yeah, because the enemy's running it.
All right. Well, Eric throws in the problem is people believe that human problems can be resolved through politics. He said politics.
Eric's making a good point. That's my point. Part of the answer is not politics. Part of the answer is just persuading people for whatever reason.
Now what? Ben Doritos. What's he talking? What are you talking about, Ben Doritos? Anyway, so yeah. Okay, we'll get back.
Multi-pronged effort. It's not always, unfortunately, it should be about the issues, but it isn't always about the issues.
Okay, implied in Eric's comment is the importance of religious values. Okay, moral values, right? And yes, can we even begin to talk about the interaction of politics with morals and ethics, or the lack thereof? Yes. But what do we want to do with this? Look, the other problem here is politics ain't going away. Sorry. Okay.
No.
All right. So this comment, you don't have a choice. All right. But all right. Maybe this is the way I want to handle what Eric is saying. I go back to Jefferson, who said that the government that governs the least governs the best. Okay.
I agree.
So to rephrase that, the organizational body given authority that uses as little politics as possible governs the best. All right. That would be probably a way to think about that. So this is what we're looking at. But
we have no such institution in America today.
All right. There is another element here that's hard for me to sort out, and that is that you have tons of special interests in Connecticut, just as in any other state, okay? Whether it's abortion, gun control, transgenderism, healthcare issues.
Transgenderism, that word scares me.
You name it. There's environmental issues, all these things. And so they turn to the government expecting solutions to these problems. All right. So what happens? They become groups that want political power.
Mm-hmm.
All right. We're sitting around saying, what are you talking about? We don't need political power to do some of these things. I'll just throw in the concept of self-regulating organizations, a whole other topic. But, the concept of a self-regulating organization stands in direct contrast with having the government control things.
Mm-hmm.
All right. So should I pound on that a little bit? Maybe just a little bit. Okay. Long time ago in Amsterdam, there was the original stock exchange. And so you had this sort of open market in which people would bring in money, make offers and bids for stock in various companies. And you had the whole, the tulip bulb craze and things like that. Okay.
You have to come with a tulip somewhere on there.
That body, okay, the stock exchange in Amsterdam was not controlled by the Dutch government. It was controlled by the people who ran the market. It was a self-regulating body. So if anybody got out of line, anybody broke the rules, anybody did something wrong, they were ejected. They didn't get to be a part of it. All right?
Probably more effective than government even.
Well, so the argument would be made. But what we have seen is this massive push over time towards government regulation and away from self-regulation. So we think of self-regulation in a manner similar to liberty. See, all right.
That's where, like, when it comes down to the Bill of Rights, the First Amendment is a freedom of speech. It says the government should not stop freedom of speech. It doesn't say that private citizens, and that's where the flag burning thing issue comes in.
Yeah,
so in other words, you burn a flag, no, technically it's protected by the First Amendment, in my opinion. However, your neighbors are going to come out and give you one hell of a hard time, and you might find, a rock through your window someday or whatever. So you better be careful, because the people aren't going to tolerate that kind of behavior.
Right. So the concept. Right. So Eric adds, the entire ethos of the American experiment, in quotes, is predicated on self-government. Yeah. Well, the air quotes really belong around self-government. Because we have, our constitutional form of government is supposed to be some form of, quote, self-government, but we see how it's been abused in every which way, and it's only getting worse. And Connecticut is the leading example. Okay. But then Eric adds, that's why John Adams stated that the Constitution is, did John Adams? Oh, yes, that's right. Stated that the Constitution is intended for a moral and religious people and is wholly inadequate to any other. Well, is that what we're looking at here? Is that as the American people become less religious and less moral, the government has to become more tyrannical?
No.
Self-government is a priori.
No, we're becoming less religious and less moral because of a concerted far-wing left effort that's been going on in this country for 100 years, and more intensely in the last 20. That's the reason. So you snuff that out, and we demand more. Our laws are, well, they should be, for the most part, jive with morality. So.
Okay, so, all right, so these two other things Eric throws in. No, they don't. Self-government is a priori, and then he adds, people know what they ought to do. Well, Eric, can we say that was really the case for that woman who stole those bottles of wine amidst the chaos at the correspondence dinner?
See, I would submit that our Constitution needs some amendments added to it to further solidify the people's control over the government, not the other way around.
Well, I would, there's that. But when I look at this Connecticut state legislature, the other question is, there must be some way to punish them when they do these things. So right now,
recall election?
Yes, that would be one of them. Our whole apparatus for recalls sucks. It especially sucks.
We really don't have one in Connecticut, I don't believe.
We do not. That's correct. And we should have it.
So that does suck.
Okay.
Sucks because it doesn't exist.
Okay, so there's that. So, all right, so it's interesting. So, Eric, these are the subjects of self-government. You say self-government is a priori, but you have to spell it out in terms of, you're going to say it, administrative procedures for running a government.
Mm-hmm.
All right, I'm now talking like a bureaucrat. I apologize, but this is what
we have.
Yeah, of course, every government has to have a rule-making body. All right, that defines what a government is and does. Okay, Madam Blavatsky, what?
Who, what, where, when, why?
Huh?
Who, what? Huh?
Yeah, exactly. Madam Blavatsky, dude. Look, I'm with you on the Karl Marx part.
Bill Brasky.
Wait, so Karl Marx at AI developed ideologies that were counter to Western civilization. It's not so much Western civilization as it is the Constitution. Okay. Again, I go back to the same old model. On this side, you have the self, and on this side, you have the state. Okay. The self versus the state. So where do you put the balance point? What made the American experiment so unusual is that we put the heavy emphasis on the self side of the equation.
Yes.
Meantime, Karl Marx and others put it over to the state. That's where they think the center point should be.
And that's where people suffer.
Yes, absolutely.
Every single time.
All right. So that's how I deal with these ideologies. And so within Western civilization, we've seen self-oriented and state-oriented political philosophies. They're both part of Western civilization. So in any event,
In other
Madame,
words, we're losing. What that means is we're on the losing end.
allow me to explain. There's a fascinating history. For general argument purposes, we'll start this at 1800 and move it to 2000. Okay. We learned about groups like the Illuminati, the Freemasons, the Rosicrucians. Okay. These secret societies, various kinds, right?
Mm-hmm.
And the thing is that as England expanded and became a global empire, they began to be put in touch with Eastern religions, okay? Tibetan Buddhism, Hinduism, Zen, okay, and many other things. And then you had all these Zoroastrianism, which is a whole other subject. But people in the, quote, West became fascinated with these, quote, mystical traditions, for lack of a better term. And that interest just grew and grew. And then you had, by the late 1800s, this whole body of what we'll call mystical knowledge. And in the early 1900s, a woman who kind of seemed to pull it all together and develop this group that was a sort of a mishmash of all these different ideas was Madame Blavatsky of the Theosophical Society. Have I got that right?
Mm-hmm.
I don't think, I mean, Theosophy came long after Karl Marx, and I don't think there was any interaction that I know of between Theosophy and Karl Marx. I mean, there's like different time frames. There might have been some wacky Marxists who are looking for ways to merge Theosophy with Marxism, but I'd never really heard of anything like that. So, yes, well, there's that truth. Things done in secret. You know, and when you say done in secret, it's funny. Funny you should say that, Eric, because the secrets have a tendency to get out. All right? You have people who tell you, I was in the Freemasons and I was a member of the 33rd level of the 55th order of the 7th chain of the 8th room in the inner sanctum of the Freemasons, and I'm now ready to reveal all the secrets I know. You got people who do that.
And he's dead.
And right, okay? And, but you know, this is going to be interesting. Eric, when we get together tonight, we're going to have to get into it on this. There is, see.
Well, let's look at it this way. You
All
just
right.
mentioned earlier that in Western civilizations, there are instances of where state-oriented governments exist and instances where self-oriented governments exist.
Like where?
Well, throughout Western civilization.
Where?
You go to the other side. That was a statement you just made. And we go to the other side, though, the Eastern world,
there are
all about state. There's no like self-determinating governments over on the eastern side of the world, you know, in any of these places. None. Maybe
okay.
India. Maybe India's might be the only example.
Yeah, well, yes, it's considered the world's largest democracy, yes,
Mm-hmm.
but it's also considered the world's most corrupt democracy.
Mm-hmm.
And part of the problem for India has been because of their extremely heavy bureaucracy. They've moved much slower than other countries in terms of economic development.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah. Well, I was in the Tufty School. What was that Tufty Club?
Even today, even after 250 years after our founding, we're still the only country that really is founded on self-determination.
Yeah.
The only one. Maybe a couple small exceptions. We got Japan going our way.
Sorry?
Japan's pretty good about self-determination, I guess, these days.
Yeah, well, this is where we kind of got.
Still not based on self-determination, though.
Yeah.
We're the only country still that is.
No, let's see.
There's no Bill of Rights in England. There's no Bill of Rights in Australia. There's no Bill of Rights in Japan.
You sure about that?
I'm pretty sure about that.
No Bill of Rights in Japan.
I don't think they have a Bill of Rights in Japan.
This gets so, oh God, how do we even begin to address this? When you say Bill of Rights, all right, so there's no equivalent of a First Amendment in any of those countries that you've mentioned.
I don't believe so. I know not in Europe anywhere.
Okay.
I'm not sure about Japan. Maybe Japan. We probably made Japan draw something up kind of like us after World War II, like most likely. But I don't know. I'm not sure about Japan. It'd be interesting to know what kind of individual rights exist in Japan. You know, they have Second Amendment in Japan.
Let's see here. Hold on.
I don't know about that. Maybe for a sword, Second Amendment. The government shall not regulate the acquisition of any swords.
All right. So here, this is what the all-knowing internet tells us. The Japanese Constitution, Article 21, specifically protects freedom of speech, press, and assembly.
Okay.
You know, and the point has been made, by the way,
Good.
that when you look at many of the governments formed after the American government, you'd be surprised at how many of them basically copied the American Constitution.
Okay.
Just copied it.
Yeah, it was a trend. It was the in thing to do for about 50 years after our founding, 1770s, right up through the 1830s and 40s.
Yeah.
We have a lot of countries that were founded during that period of time.
Yeah.
So you're saying Mexico has a Bill of Rights?
Yeah. No, let me just hold on here with
Mexico would be one of the biggest. Haiti, Mexico are two of the biggest that found independence at around the time in the 30 or 40 years following our own.
It's called No One's Perfect. But anyway, just because let's see, theosophy is a corruption of Judaism. That's not my understanding of it at all. No. There's all right, Eric. All right. I almost feel like I have to prepare for this. Okay, so see, there's this problem where not a distinction, but it's like, where are you in the etheric cloud when you're floating around here? And so you're invoking the concept of psychic forces. I get it. Okay, but you have people who also will talk about, quote, spiritual forces. Now, the argument is one is that's a higher level of spiritual development than another. But theosophy, masters, so into a ladder of intermediaries, right? So Christianity doesn't have any such ladder, if you will. But the thing is, when you start to get into I don't know if the concept of cosmic consciousness is a part of theosophy, but it's certainly related to it. All right. So, another name who needs to be thrown into this, Helen, good old Helen. Okay. Is Edgar Cayce. Okay. So Edgar Cayce he called himself a Christian. He had these visions and such. And he had a take on Jesus that was, well, you might say there's an argument that it was biblically consistent, but then there's an argument that it's not. So I think some of the real struggles over what Jesus is really about could be found not just in Christian Science, but in this thing with Edgar Cayce. Well, no, Edgar Cayce was not a quack. Sorry. That's just not true. It's, if you don't study somebody and you're told to not like them, then yes, you would say it's just another quack. You
always got to figure these things out for yourself when you're talking about judging another individual.
Sure. Yeah, if somebody's a quack, they're going to be found out for being a quack. Quacks don't get very far because their ideas don't have any integrity. They don't hold up under examination, right?
Especially these days in the age of the internet.
Yeah. So the argument that all that is Edgar Cayce doesn't hold up under examination would be incorrect. So the problem is, much like Christian Science, people will take that area and kind of put it over here, out of the way from what they consider the mainstream. And there's certainly enough examples of that. Yeah, anyway, we'll get into it, Eric. Don't worry. Okay. So all of that's anyway.
So I just want to point out, just shifting gears a little bit back to the Connecticut thing with the RTCs and what's going on. How we get the Republican Party in line. I just want you to know that between now and the end of May, I'm going to be joining the Coventry RTC.
Okay.
And then I'm also going to, we have 2 RTCs in the 5th District that I find to be completely rogue. And one of them is in Southbury, the other one's in Cheshire.
You find them to be rogue?
Rogue, yeah, absolutely rogue. Southbury, okay, because John DeBarros is in the 5th district,
Yeah.
and he's winning the voters over.
Yep.
We've talked about this before. He's doing something that none of the other Republican candidates in Connecticut have done, honestly, in 20 years or more, is just gain a lot of momentum and have the kind of groundswell support.
Yeah.
So
Well,
as long as he gets on the ballot, he'll beat Jahida Hayes without a doubt, in my opinion. However, our corrupt party is putting, Ben puts up somebody against him instead, and he's gonna have a trouble to getting on the ballot. So now, in trying to run and get delegates, what do? You go to your RTCs in the district. He's been able to successfully speak at most of them. However, the Cheshire RTC, despite his popularity in the town of Cheshire, refuses to let him even speak or even show up. Don't even let him in.
yeah.
How do you do that when you have when you're a leading Republican candidate for Congress? How do you not let him in? Southbury would also not let him in.
Waterbury has endorsed him now.
Yes, Waterbury has endorsed him. Southbury would not let him in, but enough pressure came on, so they finally agreed to let him in to speak, with the understanding that he's not going to be nominated out of Southbury.
Yeah, well, we'll see.
Regardless of what the voters say, regardless of what DeBarros says, no matter what, the Southbury RTC apparently is the dictator of their own little club in Southbury. They don't give a crap about what the voters say, and they're just going to do what they want. They're going to keep John out, and that's it.
All right, so hold that.
We're going to hold those two RTCs accountable.
Okay, I want to respond to Eric here on a couple of things. First of all, Eric, when you trash mysticism, you need to be reminded that there are deep mystical traditions within Christianity. I'll give you one: Saint Teresa of Avila, Avila. Look her up, and there are others like her. There is such a thing as Christian mysticism. So stop thinking of that as quackery. And as far as Chris Shea is concerned, late to the game. All right, Ben Proto and all his schmuckos, they get behind Chris Shea, and they've already funneled him all kinds of money. Okay.
Stop John, the people's choice.
Yes, John DeBarros exactly is the people's choice.
That doesn't tell you Ben's a mole. I don't know what does.
Yeah, no. He's got another way to think about John DeBarros is that he's rooted, R-O-O-T-E, rooted in the Waterbury community. He is rooted.
That's correct.
And he has been around so many times, talked to so many people. He's gone national what he's doing. Okay. If Chris Shays gets these delegates, it will be a scam of the highest order.
It should be a national story.
Yes.
To look at how bad Connecticut is if that happens.
Yes, exactly.
Tremendously popular. Right. I'm talking inner cities. I'm talking about country. I'm talking about white, black.
No.
Men, women. He's crossing the board demographically.
Right. And just to make the point here, okay, the issues that the Connecticut Republican Party and others have with having any kind of presence, any kind of appeal in the, quote, inner cities, Waterbury, New Haven, Hartford, Bridgeport, throw in New Britain, okay, is a long-standing problem.
Okay, this gets exactly...
Wait, I'm not done. If we're going to turn this around, we have to establish a strong presence in those inner cities. And you want to know who's leading the way? You want to know who's creating the model? You know who's one laying down the whole template for making it happen? John DeBarros. Okay, right. Not Chris Shea. Chris Shea is just another cracker. He's just another cracker just shown up. You know, and is he going to build inner city support the way John DeBarros has? No.
Okay, this gets just to my point that I'm making about the high school mentality, okay? I'm going to give you a name, a guy named Joe Massaro. He's an inner guy with Ben.
Okay.
Okay, he was there the night I ran against him last summer.
Okay.
He was the one I was shouting back and forth at right there. You think you were there? You might have been inside the building at the time. I was out in the parking lot having a shouting match with Joe Massaro, one of Ben's guys.
Yeah, I vaguely remember this. Yeah, okay.
All right. And the conversation got right into what you were just talking about, how the Republicans aren't doing enough to get into the inner cities. Correct. I barely even knew John DeBarros at the time. I knew him, but I didn't know him very well at the time. No. And I told Joe Massaro right to his face, you've got to go into the inner cities. And he's like, we've done that. Nothing ever happened. I said, you got to go door to door. You got to do it. And it has happened. He goes, okay. I know it will happen. And he looked at me and went, all right. He went, really?
Yeah. How many times? How many times have we been told the Democrats shit in their pants at the prospect of losing the black vote?
Thank you. But
Okay.
the thing was the look of Joe Macero's face was that he didn't really oh really? Like he didn't even know. He's so cozy with Ben and believes in Ben that he can't see the simplest answers. And when I pointed it out to him, I couldn't just say to him at a dinner table. I had to stick my finger in his face and yell at him in a parking lot. And he went, "Oh, really?" And he said, "Well, give me a call then." Talk to me after that.
What will that do you? Yeah.
Look, either he's full of crap or that tells you my theory's true. He's so wrapped up in all the accolades of hanging around with Ben, like a high school kid hanging around with his favorite jock. He's in with the crowd, man. And he's just not able to see the solution.
This is the point I keep making. The people who call themselves rhinos, all right, are those who still just want to have power. They'll take a scrap at the table for power. They just want to be a part of the power.
Okay, maybe I'm being too optimistic here. Maybe I'm just giving people too much credit. But maybe Joe Macero is just so caught up in the high school mentality, social thing with Ben that he thinks he's so important, he doesn't get it. But if I actually call him and sat down with him and pointed out how it can work, maybe Joe's not such a bad guy. Maybe be like, you know what? Maybe this will work.
Mm-hmm.
You know, maybe I should look at this. You know, am I being too optimistic here? I mean,
well,
he said call me.
Okay.
I didn't call him because I was told it wouldn't be a good idea to call him. I didn't call
him.
Right. Maybe I should have called him.
The issue of it, well, it's not too late.
No, it's not.
Yeah. Anyway. So, all right. Anyway, just to review, I don't know if Eric is still listening, and we'll talk about it tonight, but do you have any update or review or statement of concerns about how the event is going?
About the debate?
Yep.
There's two major things that I need to address today. One of them is the format, which I know what it is. I just got to articulate it in writing in a good detail, and I got to get it over to Fazio's people and Betsy's people. That has to happen soon. I'm hoping today.
All right.
I'm kind of worried about that. And the other thing is about the technical aspect of it all, which I'm going to talk with Eric about tonight. So,
well,
afternoon I'll be calling him. You're going to have him wrapped up in your web down there after 7. I'll call him in the late afternoon.
Yeah, you should do that because I mean I'm thinking I may have some role with Eric in this. I don't know, but that you would have talked to him before we talk would be the better thing.
Yeah, yep, and that's the case. So those two things are in motion, and I think it's gonna be fine. There's a lot of plan. We're in this planning. We're actually planning the whole thing, which is different. But hey, let's do it.
Yeah.
And Aaron, a lot of pressure on Aaron to go, but I don't think she's gonna show up. I think it's foolish of her not to.
Anyway,
so argument about having a debate before you vote is
the contact information for James's printer. Jim's printer. Who's the printer that he uses?
Okay.
I need that contact information.
Okay, I want to call James later.
But okay, well, I'm going to go with her as the one to make the cutout.
I'll call for the cutout, right? Correct. Okay. So do you have James's contact information?
Let me see. I don't think I do.
Are you directly in touch with
Maybe you can give it to me here.
The less middlemen involved, the better.
Right. Don't.
I'll get it to you.
All right.
I'll get it to you soon.
Soon.
Before I leave the house, I'll get it to you.
Okay. All right.
Okay, so I think we're done for today. I got to go to work. So.
All right.
Pretty much nailed the hour, and it's been a good show as usual. We're always on the cutting edge. We'll be back tomorrow night.
Yep. Okay.
Common Sense News Entertainment.
All right.
God bless Connecticut. God bless America. Bye, everybody. We'll catch you soon on Facebook.
Video.